Guys, this is me Ashik. So in this video we are going to create a to-do list application in Flask. So before we begin, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below and let's get started. So first things first we need to install the dependencies. You can just install them by doing a pip env install and then the package name which will install them in your local machine. As I already have them installed, I'm not going to do this now. So first let's create our application. So we say from Flask we import Flask. We will also import render template, and let's create our application by saying app equals Flask underscore underscore name underscore underscore. Let's first create an index route. So we say at app dot route, this default route. Let's create a function called home, which is going to return a template which is going to be index.html. So that's it for the index route. So before creating the index route, let me create a layout.html which we will be using as a template. So let's create layout.html. So let me press exclamation. Yeah. So let's first create a block for title. So we say block title, and we need to close this block. So we say end block, and let me copy this. We'll also be creating a couple of other blocks as well. So let me paste this up and again, and this is going to be block for body, and this is going to be a block for script to include a JavaScript as well. So let me link a style sheet here. So let's say link the href. It's going to be, I'm going to link this CSS file using Ginger syntax. So let's say URL for static, and then the file name is equal to /css/index.css, and let's also create a block style sheet in case if you wanted to style some individual elements in the inheriting file. So let me create one second, I should actually have this inside of the style tag. Let's create the style sheet. Yeah. So now we are going to create a navigation bar in this layout file. Since this navigation bar is going to be common in almost across all of our pages, so let's create the navigation bar in our layout.html. So let's say nav.navbar, and let's create this inside of a container, and we are going to have a unordered list with two list items. So inside of the first list, let me, one second, why is emmet not working? So okay, let me create an anchor tag with href equals URL for home, and this is going to be home, and then we'll create another tag as well. So let me create another tag with href equals nowhere. So let's just keep it as a nowhere for now, and this is going to be the anchor tag for complete. And this is the link where we'll be displaying all of the completed to-dos. And let me also have an h2 here which says to do app. Yeah. So and the next thing we need to create is a index.html file. So let me create an index.html. Yeah. So this is going to inherit from layout.html. So we say extends layout.html, and then let me paste this up. Yeah. So the title is going to be to do app in Flask. So and then let's create a block body. So instead of the block, let's just save this for now, and let's see whether our application is working fine. So let me start the application by Flask run. So this should start up the application. Yeah, let me click here. Yeah, now our application is working. This is extending from the layout file. So now inside of this index.html we need to have a button so that we can toggle the form in which users will be able to input the details of their to-dos. So let's first create a button. So we say button. This is going to have an ID of add to do, and here we'll just simply say add to do. So now let's create a model. So we say div ampersand model, sorry, hash model, and let's create a form with an ID of model dash form. So the action is going to be, sorry, URL for home, then the ID is going to be model form, and then the method equals post. We are going to send this as a post form. So before that, let me first create a span tag with an ID of close btn. So we are going to use an HTML entity. So we say ampersand times. So now let me create a label uh, which says title, and let me also create an input field. Input type equals text. Yeah, with a max length of 20, and then the name equals title. So we'll again create another label. So this label is going to be for the message. So we say message. So let me also put a colon here. So and we are going to create a text area. So we say text area, and then the name is going to be message, and we know we don't need all these things. So let me just cut this up. Yeah. So we'll also need a button to submit. So we say button which says submit. Yeah. So let's also add a h2 here which says add to do details. Yeah. So far so good. So let's go back to our application and let's try to refresh this. Now we are able to see our form, our navigation bar, everything. So now it's time to do all of our CSS stuff. So let's first create an index.css file in the CSS folder. So let's create index.css. So let me first set the font family as Helvetica. So and then for the nav bar, this is going to have a background of FFF, and this is going to have a border dash bottom of 1 pixel, solid 0, and this is going to have a padding of 0.5 rem. And then for the container, it's going to have a width of 80%, and then the margin is going to be auto. And for the container inside the navbar, so we say navbar dot container. We're going to display it as flex. So I'm going to display this as flex, and for the button, let's give it a margin dash top of 1 rem, and the position is going to be absolute. So for the right, let's give it 1 rem, and for the form, let's give it a background of FFF. Let's give it a padding of 1 rem, and let's give it a border radius of 8 pixel. Border radius of 8 pixels. The position of the form, it's going to be absolute. So from the top it's going to be 15%, and from the left it's going to be 50%. So we are going to translate minus 50%. So I guess that should be enough for the form. Now let's try to style the label. So we say label, sorry, one second. So we say label, let's display this as block, and then the font size is going to be 1 rem, and for the input and the text area, the box sizing, it's going to be border box, and then the border it's going to be 1 pixel, sorry, let's give it 2 pixels. So let's say 2 pixel solid DDD, and then the border dash radius it's going to be 8 pixels, and then the outline is none. Let's give it a padding of 0.5 rem, and when the input and text area is focus, we need to change the border. So let's say input colon focus comma text area colon focus. So the border it's going to be 2 pixel solid. Let's give a dodger blue, and then this should have a transition of 0.6 seconds. Yeah, and for the text area, so let's say text area, we don't want this to resize, so we say resize is none, and then the height is going to be 100 pixels. So I guess I actually forgot to give a color for this button. So let me say background is going to be RGB of 113 comma 68 comma 197, and then the color it's going to be FFF, and then the border is going to be 0, and let me just scroll this up, and for the H2 inside of this form we want to text align it as center, and for this span tag inside of this form you want to position it as relative. So from the top 1 rem, and from left it should be 95%, and finally for the button inside of the form, let's just say width as 100%, and then the background it's going to be dodger blue, and then the color should be FFF, and then the padding should be 0.5 rem. So and then the border should be 0. It should have a border radius of 8 pixels. I guess we are pretty much done with the styling. Let me just look over again. So yeah, so if I go and refresh it now, so actually if let's first refresh this. Yeah, I actually forgot to do a couple of things here. And for the UL inside of the nav bar, we want to display it as flex, and we don't want it to have any list style, so we say list style as none. And for the navbar ul li anchor tag, we say text decoration as none, and then the color it's going to be 000, and the form should have a width of, let's say let's give 500 pixels. So I guess this should fix them up. So let me also give a width to the button as well. So this should have a width of let's give it some 100 pixels, and then the border dash radius it's going to be 15 pixels, and then it should have a padding of zero point 0.9 rems. Yeah, so now if I refresh the application, oops, the button should have come above the h2, so that's why this is happening. So let me just paste this above the h2. And what else am I missing here? uh, yeah, the input field should have a margin top and bottom, so let me give that as well. So this should have a margin of 1 rem in top and bottom and 0 in left and right. So, and for the span inside, let's give it a font size of 1 rem, and when the span tag is hovered, so we say span colon hover, we change the cursor to pointer, and the color should be ampersand 000, sorry, hash. I'm actually misspelling the hash and ampersand, I don't know why. So, and for the, so let me try to refresh it now. Yeah, but the button is actually going above this, so one second. Let me first give a border to the form. I don't know why it's actually not visible right now. So let's say border of 1.5 pixels solid DGD, and then this button should be treated as a cursor with pointer. So the cursor is going to be pointer, and for the input and text area, let's display them as block. So I guess this should fix them up. If I refresh it, yeah, the button is outside of the form. Why is that? The button should be inside of the form. So once again, the form having a width of, let's give it a padding of 2 rems. Let's give it a padding of 2 rems, and then let's give it a height of auto. Whether we'll just fix it up. Oops, the button is still outside of the form. I don't know why. See, let's go look into the button. Let's say box sizing, border box. The input field should also have a width of 100%. I think I actually forgot that as well. So let's give this a width of 100%. And for the span tag, the font dash weight, its weight, it's going to be bold. And then let's change the font size to 2, and let's set the color to hash DDD. So if I refresh it now, yeah, I guess the let me just give a, one second, let me go into the button. So margin dash top of -1 rem. Oops, I guess I no need that. Let's then try giving a width of 90%. Yeah, this works. I think so let me try changing the height of the form. So let's try setting a fixed height. So yeah, let's set a height of let's say 600 pixels. Oops, I guess it's too large. I guess let's say 400. Yeah, so now it's everything's fine. The form's working absolutely fine. Yeah, this is also fine as well. Yeah, everything is working fine. So I should, since these are both joined together, I think I should separate them. So let me give this a margin dash left, sorry, left of 1 rem, and also for the anchor tag, let me give a margin dash left of 1 rem, and let's set the font size as 1 rem. Yeah, so now if I refresh it, yeah, so everything's working absolutely fine. Our form is ready right now, and we need to give a background for this form. So we are going to use the model. So let's say ampersand model. You want to position this as fixed, and from the top 0, so this goes to the top. So the width is going to be 100%, the height is going to be 100%, then the background, yeah, I'm spelling it right. Oh, fine. Background is going to be RGB of 0 0 0, and then the opacity is going to be 0.7. So let's refresh it. Yeah, and yeah, this is fine. Let's give it a margin dash left of minus 0.5 rem. This should fix up this small gap. So yeah, now everything is working fine. So now what we want to do is that we initially want to hide this form above this window. So when the user clicks on this add to do button, we need to display the form from the top. So let's first initially set this model to be display as none. So refresh it. Oops, I guess I shouldn't have done this, I guess. So let's first let's change this to a class of, and let's change this to a class of bg-dark. Yeah, so now if I refresh it, this is going to go. Yeah, I know that. So, and for the form, I forgot to give this form initially should have a class of closed, so that we can use JavaScript to display this form when the button is clicked. And for the model, let's leave it as such. So now let's go into our JavaScript. So outside of this block, I guess I have not copied anything. Oops. So let's create a block script, and let me end this block. So we'll link a script here. So script, then the source equals, again the syntax, URL for static file name equals /j/index.js. Yeah, so now let's create our index.js here. So let's create a new file saying index.js. So in the index.js, let's first get all of the variables. So we say let add icon equals document dot get element by id, and then the id is going to be add dash icon. So let me just copy this up, copy, paste and paste. So let's change this to model, let's change this to form. I think let's change the id as model. Let's again change this id as model dash form. We also need another variable, the close btn. So let's say close btn, and this should be close dash btn. So So now let's first create a couple of functions. We're going to create a function called show form, which will, so before doing this, right now this form is kind of here. So let me just change the top of this form as, let me just give a minus 800 pixels. So if I refresh it, the form is going to go on top of the window. Oops, unexpected character. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to, sorry, yeah, I actually forgot to close this file name, quotes. So if I refresh it now, yeah, so now the form is hidden above the window. So now it's going to a JavaScript. So when the function is clicked, if the form dot class name, if it is equal to closed, is which is initially, so what we do is that, so we say form dot style dot top equals 15%, and then form dot class name equals opened, and then the model is going to have a model dot class list dot add. We are going to add the bg dash dark class to the model so that we get a dark background. So, and again let's create another function called hide form, which is going to hide this form. So we say, let me just copy this, say form dot style dot top equals minus 800%, and then the form dot class name equals closed, and we say model dot class list dot remove. We're going to remove the bg dash dark. So let me also give a transition to this form. So let me say transition, we are transitioning the top as 0.8 seconds. So now when the, so now when the user clicks on this add to do button, we need to show the form from the top. So let me create an event listener. So add icon that add event listener. We are going to listen for a click event, and then we will call the function show form. So and then when the close button is clicked, we are going to close the form. So we say close btn dot add event listener. We are again listening for a click event. So let me say close underscore form. Yeah. So I guess this should work right now. So let me refresh this up. So now if I click on this add to do button, let's see what happens. Oops, nothing happens. Why is that? Yeah, where am I missing something? The, let's check the all of the IDs. It's having an ID of model. The span has an ID of close btn. The form has an ID of model dash form, and then the button has an ID of add to do. Oh shit, I gave this as add icon, so let me name this as add to do. So let me refresh it again. If I click on this, hopefully this should work. Oops. So I guess what is happening is I'm missing out something here. So this should have been a hide form. So let's see whether this works. So let me first call a function. So let me say whether check whether this works or not. Let me just console.log working. Yeah. So now let's refresh. Let's open our console. Let me bring this, make this wider. So let's see whether this works. Oops, the button is not taking any event listeners. So why is that? Where did I make a mistake? Add icon, add to do. Yes, we are in the add to do. The script is linked properly. Static /js /index.js /js/index.js. Where am I missing it? Add to do, add dash to do. In here it is add dash to do. Why isn't this working? So once again guys, let me just debug that up. So guys, I actually debugged the program. The reason was because there was a typo here. This should have been block script. See, I'm pretty ashamed to make such a typo mistake. Sorry for that. So now let me take all of this stuff here from here. So let's close this. So when the add icon is clicked, we are going to call the show form method. So now let me refresh this. Hopefully it should work this time. So let's try it. Yeah, so this is working. Let me also try closing this. Yeah, it's closing. So but the model is not being added up class with bg dark. What was the class name then? Oops, it's bg dot. Again a typo, sorry for that. So now let me refresh it. It should work this time. So let me click on add to do. Yeah, our form is displaying. If I click on the close btn, it's closing. Oops, it's again bg dash dark. Yeah. So let's try this up once again. Yeah. So and the next thing what we need to do is that even when the user clicks outside of this form in this dark area, we want to close up the form. Right now it's not closing. So let's do that as well. So let me say window dot add event listener. Listen for a click event, comma, it's taking a function. I'm going to take the event parameter. So let me say, so if form dot class name equal to opened, and if the event dot target, if it is equal to model, then we will hide this form. So let me say hide form. So when this form is open and if the target was the dark area, this will hide the form. So let's try this up. So let me click on here, the form's opening. If I click on here, the form's getting closed. Yeah. So yeah, this is really cool. So in this video we just created the all of the UI which is required for the application. So I'm planning to do this as two parts. So in the next part we'll be doing all of the backend stuff required to make this application function properly. So the next video will be hopefully be released within this week, I guess. So we'll release it within this week. So until then, let's stay tuned for the next video, and thanks for watching. If you like this video, do support me by hitting the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thank you guys.